Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 81 of the Still City Insider podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jeremy Hritz, alongside the Jim Wexell. Jim, how are you this fine day?
Oh, I'm as good as I'm going to be. It's a beautiful day in Pittsburgh. It's a beautiful fall day, so hope to get out and take advantage of it.
Awesome.
But after a win, days are always sweeter.
Days are definitely always sweeter after a win, and the Steelers defeat the Rams 24-17. They stay in the mix in the AFC North. They're only one game behind the Baltimore Ravens, who did pull out the nice not pull out, but they blew out the Lions for a nice victory there. And the Steelers are now preparing for the Jacksonville Jaguars this Sunday, 1 p.m. Acrisure Stadium, the first of 3 home games. They're going to play the Titans the following week, then the Packers. So this is an important stretch. And Jim, the best place to start here. It's Tuesday. It's a Tomlin Tuesday. Mikey T had lots to say this afternoon.
Well, I can't say everything he said. Anything in particular?
Well, I know there's a lot of talk about the penalties, the tenor of the game, the calls from the referees. Why don't we start there?
Okay. Well, he made a point that Najee started out with his hair on fire, with his long hair on fire, and attitude-wise, and he got in someone's face after an early run, and the refs apparently went to the sideline and told Tomlin, "Hey, that's not going to happen today. I've told your player, I'm telling you, these things are going to be flagged." So it gives a little more credence to the flagging of what could have been considered minor things that really at major moments that hurt the Steelers with their wide receivers.
Yeah.
And me personally, the DJ penalty where you shush to Witherspoon, his old buddy, that could be construed as a makeup call, because that pass interference was really ticky-tacky, and that was a third down pass interference on a I don't know if it was catchable, but it was incomplete. And I don't know if someone else came in with the flag, but I think they did the right thing, because there's also some talk that defensive pass interference should have given him the first down, and the unsportsmanlike after the play should have just moved him back 15 yards, still giving him the first down. The refs just waved it off. I could have the rules wrong, but I think they did the right thing personally. Whether they could justify it with the rules books with their bosses or not, but it seemed like that's really not pass interference, so let's do this over.
Yeah.
And they did it over 3rd and 8, and then we got the 7-yard pass, then the bad spot on the quarterback sneak.
Yeah, so they were able to overcome those penalties, obviously. And I know some of the sentiment after some of those plays, you always hear the criticisms of Tomlin that the team lacks discipline. So people might be pointing to the hush there by DJ, or the fiery response of Pickens. But I might be in the minority here, but I'd like to see that fieriness that these guys want to play, they want to win. And some people might be saying that there's no place for it, but whatever they got to do to get motivated. I mean,
that's what Tomlin said after the game. I'd rather say whoa than sick 'em.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the point you're making, is exactly what he meant by that. And not to be undisciplined. You have to be smart. And right. I think he makes that point, but young guy like George Pickens, man, sometimes these wide receivers, they just are not going to change. And he's young. DJ should know better. Yeah. Although his crime wasn't so bad, I don't know. It was a big catch, why? Or a big moment, why? So, yeah, not a big deal.
Yeah.
I think if you look at the penalties, they are always they always are among the leaders in fewest penalties. So, and that's what I look at in terms of discipline.
Yeah. And something else that Tomlin talked about too, he got into the identity of the team. And that was a pretty interesting take. Do you want to riff on that a little bit?
Well, first he said, you were listening to me in labs, weren't you? Because I had tweeted that it was a great comment. Bob Labriola does the interview with Mike Tomlin at the end of the week. And he's much more revealing in that interview. And if you get to listen to it, it's on the internet. And I do believe they replay it before the game. But if you listen to it, there were some great answers on identity, which he doesn't believe in. He said it's stupid to say we're a running team and then teams come out with a goal line defense in the middle of the field and open grass, he said. Yeah. So it makes sense. It's and I never really understood that question anyway. That's a media thing. Mm-hmm. You know, your identity is to score more points. That's what your identity should be.
Right.
And I talked about sludge ball last week, and they opened up in the shotgun and threw 3 passes. I have no problem with that because then it opens up the run game. I want to see Najee as the closer, not the starter. So that's all working in what I've been yakking about since training camp. Mm-hmm. That Warren's a better running back and Najee's a better closer. Let's reverse the roles here and do it like you did with Willie Parker, Jalen's cousin, ironically, and Jerome Bettis, and you won a Super Bowl. So I don't know how we got off on that tangent, but the identity, right? Yeah. So Ken Wisenhunt in the playoffs, in the 2005 playoffs, threw on first down and ran after the pass set up the run. He pitched backwards. If you're a baseball guy, you know what I mean by pitched backwards. You throw 2-0 curves because 2-0 batters are sitting on the fastball, right? That's a home run pitch. 2-0, 3-1. You got a pitcher that can pitch backwards, you're going to confound guys all day. And that's play calling is like that. So I kind of like using the pass to set up the run. I don't believe that, and I'm sorry, I'm talking way too much. But one last point. I don't believe that Najee, using him as a hammer early, is going to soften the defense. I don't. Mm-hmm. I think it's the third, fourth quarter, and you got them on the run, and they're sucking wind and they're dying. That's when Najee's effective. I don't believe an NFL back. I mean, you have to be Bettis-like maybe with Faneca and Hardings up front and Starks and those guys. Maybe a Bettis can wear you down. Maybe a Derrick Henry can wear you down. But I really don't see a Najee wearing you down. But I see him being effective late in the game when you're tired and you don't want to tackle a big back. That's where I see him more effective.
Right.
So they got to root away from that first and second down handoff. Let's establish the run because we're the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah. You know, that's enough to make you. Yeah.
Yeah. So very interesting, the whole discussion around identity and how Tomlin doesn't like to commit to an identity. And they're trying to fill their way out of who they are. I mean, maybe they're not committing and saying, hey, we're a run dominant team, we're a play action team, but they're trying to find the matchups. They're trying to exploit those matchups. And what we were talking about earlier before we got on here, and you mentioned it in your column, can this team continue to win this way? And the answer so far is yes. They're 4-2. They're only 1 game behind Baltimore, whom they've already beat. But is this a matter of, hey, they're winning these games that they should lose? If you're looking statistically, this Rams game, perfect example. But does that speak to maybe the talent that's on this team, that even when they play their worst football, they only need 3, 4, 5 plays to pull out a win? And could this be something that where once this thing fires on all cylinders, they can make some noise?
Right. I agree. It's a young offense. Do they have the talent to win this way? TJ Watt says yes, because I'm going to make a play that's going to turn this whole thing around.
Yeah. And
he's going to keep doing it, apparently. And they also, what you can count on is Minka hasn't done that yet, playing great football, but he has yet to get into what he's going to get into. Minka Fitzpatrick's due for what, 5, 4? How many game-turning plays is Minka capable of? Well, he's got a ball still left in his chamber, right?
Oh, yes.
That's another guy. So, yes, to your point, but it's not a perfectly talented team. A lot of people want to say his team's so talented, it's the coaching. There's quarterbacks growing. Mm-hmm. And I think the second half, what we saw against the Ravens was the last pass was a big growth. Can he carry it over? Well, took him a half, and then in the second half, he went 11 for 12. And he was even doing this, and I didn't know he was standing in the pocket as well as he was in the first half. I criticized him a little bit because he was showing a little bit of jittery feet. And I'm really tired of seeing that. But he stood in the pocket even in the first half, but in the second half, he took some brutal hits, but delivered down the field. And that's what he's needed to do.
So Jim, there's a quote out there that just came to me, and I want to relate it to fourth quarter Kenny. That's going to be mine. Let's see if that sticks. Fourth quarter Kenny here. But there's a quote out there that says, when people show me who they are, I believe them. The one thing that Kenny Pickett has consistently shown us from start of his career until now, and I know it's relatively young, that when it comes to the fourth quarter and he needs to make a play, he makes a play. So all the other stuff, he's not that elite passer yet, but wouldn't you rather have that intangible factor that even if you're down, you know that you have a chance with this guy? I mean, that's something that needs acknowledged.
Well, I've always had a problem with that quote because it's used on me often. And I believe in growth potential. I can change, and Kenny can change. If we look at the jittery feet Kenny, we don't have to say, no, he's not showing us it. He can become better as he works at it. And he can work at it. But what you're saying, that clutch gene that Craig Wolfley wrote about this morning, he's got that. I think we saw that last year. And as Tomlin said today, we saw that at Pitt.
Yeah.
So he's got that. He just needs to get better, keep working. He is getting better as he goes, and his receivers are coming back. Geez, it's weird how he gets a second-star receiver, and all of a sudden he looks better. That's weird how that happens.
I know. Strange.
And in a month when they get Freiermuth back, it's like, wow, that quarterback's really gotten better. So there's talent. There's still some flaws. Yeah. And I don't know if they can be fixed at the trading deadline. You just don't come up with a corner. Maybe you can take a chance on a Kello Witherspoon type and he can help you, but a good corner that is going to be good is just too expensive at this point.
Yeah. Which is a good segue to talk about the defense. And, there are still some soft spots on the defensive side of the ball. Sure, they got the win. They're making plays when they need to. They're getting pressure on the quarterback. TJ Watt continues to be TJ Watt. I mean, he's the defensive player of the year. I know it's still early. However, we're seeing pass defense specifically from Pat Pete, which I know that he can't be that main guy right now, and that's not what he was brought in to be. But Levi Wallace continues to struggle. Good to see Little Porter getting some work, and he's getting some reps there. But what could happen with this secondary for it to improve, or does it just have to be the pass rush that's going to make it better?
Yeah, that's a good question. They survived a tough one this time. Jacksonville is going to be very tough, very difficult. I don't really have any answers for you with the secondary. You hope the Porter continues and improves. He does get a little handsy. That 3rd and 3 PBU that he had could have been called, but it wasn't. And I think rightfully so, it wasn't called. But he does get a little physical, and that's an issue. And he was credited by Pro Football Focus. Please don't kill me for using them. Because they do put eyes on every player. Mm-hmm. And they said that Joey didn't get a catch against him. But if you look at that big curl in the middle of the field by, I think had to be Puka Nacua. Is that his name, Nacua?
Yeah, Nacua.
Yeah. They blamed that on Cole Holcomb. And he wasn't anywhere near the play, but apparently they thought he should have dropped. And cover 2 inside linebackers do drop deep. Mm-hmm. But it sure looked like Joey let him go and just left him wide open for, I don't know, it was at least a 20-yard gain. Yeah. So I question whether that was on Joey, and that could have been. So that could have been one. But, Pat Peterson looks like he's adapting well inside. He's playing some safety. He's doing all the Cam Sutton stuff. He told us that. I don't know why people are still amazed that he's doing Cam Sutton stuff, but That's how they sold him in free agency.
Mhm.
We want you to do what Cam Sutton did. They even gave him the same number. I don't know if that's coincidence, but he's doing exactly what Cam did. And now that Joey can play outside, they can go full mode with Pat Peterson in the Cam Sutton thing. They even used him, and I didn't think they'd do this. They used him as a nickel because he's such a light tackler compared to some of their other nickel guys.
Yeah.
That I didn't think he would come in with 5 DBs. That's more of a run potential, and you're a little bit of a linebacker in the slot. So they did. They used him as a nickel. So they're giving him the full range of that Cam Sutton position. So, the weak link, in my opinion, is Levi Wallace, and I don't think I'm breaking ground. He was a college walk-on. He was an undrafted player. He's always fought the bias against what's he run, a 4.7, 4.6 at best. So he is not a corner athletically.
Yeah.
He's gotten by on guile, and he was a number 3 guy for the Bills, and he was a number 3 guy here last year. Now he's a starter, and he's getting exposed a little bit.
Yeah.
I hate to say that he's a weak link because he had 2 interceptions in one game and helped them win. But I just I don't know what else to say. He's a good guy, but he's been giving up some plays.
Yeah. Smart ball player, definitely heady on the field. Is going to contribute when falling and playing assignment sound football. But you're right, athletically, he has difficulty matching up with some of those big time wide receivers. And there's really no solution right now unless they make a move for the trade deadline, which doesn't seem likely. So they just got to hope that that pass rush could be even better, which it's already pretty ferocious. But let's talk about the run defense, because I'm still not sold.
Why are you so wrapped up in the negative? All you want to talk about are the negatives. You're like those Pittsburgh media guys.
Oh, no. See,
I'm teasing you.
You're the light. You're the light. I'm the dark here today. But
you're not going to get much lightness from me on that run defense. I thought the inside linebackers played so well against the Ravens. It's more of a running team. And this week against a passing team, albeit a lot more nickel and dime on the field, so less inside linebacker help.
Yeah.
But still, boy, they sure had some mediocre backs gouging them. What was a defensive 31 carries, 112 yards? No, that's 31 carries, 135 yards. What's that come to? It has to be over 4. So for the last 5 games, they're allowing 4.5, which is getting better than the 5.0 they were at.
Yeah.
So last 5 games is 4.5. Yep. So the Ravens game was a good, especially the second half. The Rams didn't have any running backs. They used a couple practice squatters, a couple guys off the street. At least they had fresh legs. So guys off the street always have fresh legs. So I'll give them that.
Yeah.
But and you're playing the pass more, even though you really didn't stop Puka at all. But they stopped Cooper Kupp. They stopped the tight end. The tight end had dropped some big balls. He dropped one at the 10-yard line late that led to a missed field goal. So, I'm not the run defense. Also, Cam's going to be coming back.
That was going to be my next question for you: is when can we anticipate that Hayward makes his return?
Hayward is not answering this question, and Tomlin sure isn't. He didn't today.
Okay.
But all I can tell you is I asked Cam, I go, are you certain that you're coming back in the regular season? He said, yes. You see him walk around the locker room. He looks great. He's a big physical guy, walking fine. He could want to surprise everybody and come back after the 8th game.
Yeah.
They said originally it was an 8-game thing.
Yeah.
So we'll see where we at. We're at 4-2 and on a bye. So that's 7 weeks.
Okay. And with that said, getting ready for a big contest this weekend, AFC South, the Jaguars, Jacksonville Jaguars are traveling to Pittsburgh. Again, as I mentioned at the outset of the show, the start of a 3-game home stretch here, 2 AFC games in the row, but the Jags are going to present some difficult challenges for the Steelers team. What are your thoughts on this weekend's game?
I did a workup. I handicapped the Steelers games usually late in the week, but I did it for you today. The last 5 games on a rolling basis. I looked at the line of scrimmage, the pass defense, because we can always gauge in our minds how good the quarterback is.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to get too many numbers and skew up my head. You as a day trader, you get that. There are some certain numbers that you like, and not all of them give me the entire answer. And I don't have a side to pick. Nothing can jump out at me because I did. But I mean, the Steelers have some really ugly stuff. A 13.0 per yards completion is really, really, really bad. That's the last 5 games, 13 yards per completion. Jaguars, for instance, are more a league average 11.1. But when I see a 13.0, often that's a bet against for me.
Yeah.
Also, Jaguars had a Thursday game. Now, I know they were in London for 2 weeks, and their quarterback was hurt. They still carried that momentum into Thursday and won. Mm-hmm. And normally I would say, man, they can't carry that momentum again, but it's 10 days off.
Yeah.
And they're going to be okay. They're going to be okay mentally and physically. They should be able to pick apart that secondary. Mm-hmm. And their lines of scrimmage, 1 plus 1.6, they can run the ball. And the Steelers have shown a weakness stopping the run.
Yeah.
But I'll give the Steelers this, and this is why I don't make the Jags an automatic knee-jerk selection on my part. The Steelers are more efficient. It's a yards per point. Mm-hmm. I really like this stat. You subtract the offensive number from the defensive number, yards per point. And the Steelers are plus 1.5 because they don't really put many yards together, but they're starting to score some points these last 5 games, right? Mm-hmm. They had 24 and 17, and then they had 23 against Vegas, 26 against Cleveland. Some of those defensive scores, but that goes into the efficiency number. Yeah. That's a catch-all for special teams, for defensive scores, and it's a really good number. I don't like to. When I'm surprised, I that's when the handicapping flag goes up for me. The antenna goes up. Yeah. So I'm not surprised that their defensive pass woes. I'm not surprised they're getting gashed at the lines of scrimmage, because their run game's really not doing much. But man, when they have better efficiency numbers, their defense, they're a bend but don't break defense, and that's always good for this number. It takes 19.7 yards to score a point, and that's well above average. That's very good. They're plucky. That's a plucky number.
Plucky.
How plucky are you? They're plucky. And if you're at home, the other thing is the Steelers are always better in the second of 2 home games.
Yeah.
Coming off a flight to LA, this is the one I think they'll lose.
Okay.
I wouldn't bet against them because the pluckiness. And Kenny's getting better. And DJ's back.
Yeah.
And, Benton up front, in few reps, he was an animal.
Yeah.
So does he help you run defense? Do those linebackers play more now? All kind of questions that could lead. It just tells you this team's on the rise, and to not take them lightly, even though their numbers are so hideous still.
Yeah.
They have that pluckiness factor, and they're at home. But I look for the Thursday night game, the second of 2 home games, to be the better game. And then the third home game will be on 10 days rest.
Yeah.
I look for those 2 games to be the wins. So I think 6-3 everybody would accept. I know everyone wants 7-2, but I think 6-3, and I think Jacksonville's clearly the tough one of those 3.
Yes. Yep. They're a quality team. I like the plucky word. And I'll point to this, that going back to last season after that bye is where this team solidified, and not that they were world beaters, but they got better. Yeah. And so I think that 4th quarter against the Rams was a start of that snowball rolling to build momentum into that winter season. We're going to see this team get better. I'm going to go with the Steelers over the Jags this weekend. I'm thinking Kenny's going to put up his best game so far as a pro, and they're going to move to 5-2. So we'll have to see how this plays out.
Hear me. I mean, I predicted the Steelers would play their emotional pitch and that they would beat the Rams. but everything else about this weekend I was wrong about.
Uh-huh.
And this is another. I did get my hair cut, and I like my haircut.
It looks good.
But I'm on a really bad roll, brother. And so that should be taken with good news by all of you out there, because Jeremy's bucking my professional handicapping service. And good. I hope you're right and I'm wrong. I hope you're so much smarter than me.
Oh.
And yeah, well, you are. We know. I'm just the guy that talks all the time.
Hey, and you're the insider. You're the insider. And we're going to have plenty to talk about in episode number 82 next week to talk about the outcome of that Steelers-Jacksonville game. It's going to be a lot of fun, regardless the outcome. But we'll be back here next week. You could, Jim, anything real fast before I close up that you want to hit on?
Steel City Insider. You can get our service there. And my books are at jimwexell.com.
Wonderful. And thank you so much for watching, for subscribing, for sharing, for commenting. We appreciate your viewership so much. I think we're up to, I don't even know how many, 500 plus. So we're making that's it.
It's too many to even count anymore.
Yeah, it's too many, too much.
Growing by leaps and bounds.
There we go. But you can check out Jim's work at the Steel City Insider. Give him a follow on X at Jim Wexell. Give me a follow at Still Study, and we will see you back here next week, where we're hopefully discussing a Steelers victory over the Jaguars in episode number 82. Take care, everyone.
See you, man.